right, everybody, good morning. It is Monday. It is the last Monday in August here, Fit Body Boot Camp in Goddard. My name is Coach Melissa, and this is another edition of Nutrition News. Every Monday, usually around 11:30 in the morning, I appear on the NV Fitness fan page sharing some tips, some tricks, some education on different topics that our members or members of the public have shown an interest in, or things that I think you may be interested in as well. So today, the last Monday in August, that means that next Monday is Labor Day, and the day after that, a week from tomorrow, is the first day of school. So for a lot of people, that means back to routine. For a lot of people, it's like the start of the year. It's like New Year's for a lot of people. So we're going to talk about that, what's coming up here in September, and getting your kids' lunches off to a good start this year, which I know all parents, that's a goal that we all have, is sending them to school with good, nutritious lunches. So before I get into that, let's talk about what is happening in the gym soon and now. So last week of summer, unofficially for most people, certainly for all parents and our teachers here, we have a couple things coming up actually. Well, next Saturday, the 9th, we have Bring a Buddy Day. So next Saturday we have 3 sessions at 8:20, 9 a.m. and 9:40, and we are encouraging all of our members to bring a buddy, bring a friend, bring a family member. Anybody over the age of 13 is welcome to try out our workouts at no cost, and see what you think, see how you like them, and see why your friend or your family member keeps coming back. So if that's you, if you're interested in checking us out, then talk to one of our members and say, hey, I want to come with you Saturday the 9th to that Bring a Buddy Day, and they can hook you up, and we will hook you up with a free session here on that day. The very first day of school is September 5th. We're going to have School Spirit Day in here for our members. We encourage you to wear your school colors. Maybe that's the school that you went to as a child, your high school, or your post-secondary school. Could be the school that your kids go to or went to. Could be the school that you work at if you are employed out of school. Lots of different ways to make that happen. So wear your school colors, bring your school spirit. Extra points for vintage team uniforms or Letterman jackets or whatever you can come up with. Tuesday, September 5th, all day, all sessions, School Spirit Day, because I, for one, am looking forward to the back to school routine. In some ways, I have 2 kids. One is about to be 13 on the first day of school. Actually, it's her birthday, and my son is 9. So in some ways, we are ready for back to school. In some ways, it's going to get really busy, so we need to be prepared. That is happening on the 5th. And then we have, as the new year starts, we have our next transformation challenge. So the pre-sale and all the information is going to come out for that next week. You're going to want to be a part of this. This is a 6-week transformation challenge. It involves one-to-one personalized nutrition coaching. It involves unlimited sessions here in the gym. It involves accountability. It involves weekly progress reports. There's a great big party at the end to celebrate everybody's successes at the beginning of November. It's going to be fabulous. I've been working hard on it behind the scenes here. You're going to want to be part of it, so stay tuned next week to this page, to your email if you're on our list, to all of our different social media accounts, because you're going to be hearing about it and want to be a part of it. That's for members and non-members. Anybody is welcome and encouraged to be a part of that challenge that is starting just in a couple weeks, our next transformation challenge. So let's talk about school lunches. Maybe you're a parent with kids going back to school, and this could be junior kindergarten, or it could be kids in high school. Some kids in high school take their lunches too. Let's talk about ideas to pack them in. So I'm going to start with teenagers, actually, because I'm about to have a teenager. More than half of children take their lunch to school. So yeah, there's cafeterias in a lot of high schools, but still, more than half of children still take a packed lunch to school. So that's a lot of lunches. Not to mention people that go to work. A lot of people take their lunch to work. So this isn't necessarily just for children. All of what I'm going to talk about today can apply to adults as well. Those of you that take your lunch to work with you. So having a bagged lunch or a packed lunch is really, it's an important part of your day. It's the midpoint of your day, and it's to get you through the afternoon until you get home from school or from work. So it's really important to make sure that you have a nutritious, balanced lunch, but it can get really boring really quick, right? You can get into a rut really quick, and it's hard to think of, fun, new, inspiring activities or ideas for your lunch. It can be a challenge. So it's really tempting to fall into this trap of taking prepackaged, pre-processed, ready-made options. They're definitely the easy answer, but they're also high in fat, high in saturated fat, high in salt, high in sugar, high in fillers, and they're not going to do anything for the brain power of you or your kids, and even like keeping you filled up throughout the afternoon, throughout the day, to keep your energy up and keep you paying attention in school as the afternoon goes on. We want to avoid that feeling where we just want to have a nap, or we just kind of want to check out, especially this early in the school year. As kids get older, they tend to want to have more control over what they take in their lunches, and that's fine. Our job as parents or adults is guiding them toward the right choices. That can be difficult as they want to exert their independence and they are clear on what they like and they don't like. So it's important to remind our kids as they age, especially, eating well not only helps them perform well, whether it's academically or physically, but it's important to feeling well and looking well. And I don't mean like, looking like a certain body type or anything, just feeling and looking well, like as far as your nails and your hair and your skin and everything like that goes. Being more creative when it comes to their lunches, may even make their friends sit up and take notice. So maybe they could be a little bit inspiring to their friends or to their classmates as well. When it comes to what to include in their lunches, don't forget about iron. Okay, girls especially tend to be low in iron, so making sure that you're including iron-rich choices like lean meats, dark green leafy vegetables, dried fruit like apricots, other things like chickpeas, lentils, beans. Hummus is a great one. That's a great way to use chickpeas. Is important, especially for girls who tend to be at risk of being low in iron. Zinc. Kids need this mineral, especially as they get older and into the teenage years. So including good sources of zinc, again, lean meat, beef especially, eggs, almonds as well, or different nuts depending on the nut policy at your school. But seeds too, including pumpkin seeds, sesame seeds, those are higher in zinc too. Omega-3s. I've talked about omega-3 fatty acids, the importance of healthy, good fats on other nutrition news segments before. These help keep the brain working, help keep the brain like well-oiled, so to speak. Help establish healthy, balanced hormones. Omega-3 fatty acids are important to your hormones. So if your kids like fish, you can including fish in their lunches, not necessarily like a fish sandwich, but even just, I'll show you my containers in a minute, but just pieces of fish in their lunch, like salmon and tuna. Those are pretty easy. You can make a salmon salad or a tuna salad and just use them like a dip, and include some veggies there too, and dip them in. You don't necessarily have to make a sandwich or a wrap. A lot of kids are kind of getting away from sandwiches. They're bored of sandwiches. They don't like sandwiches, and that's fine. You can do tuna or salmon in a little container and use veggies or like pita chips or something for a dip. That's fine. Kids like to snack, right? It may not be and I know in the public board, it's a balanced school day, so it's like 2 smaller lunches, and they may be more interested in just snacking or grazing. So again, you can get away from the traditional sandwich or wrap and just include, a bunch of different things that they can kind of like finger foods that they can graze on and nibble on. And that's still going to fill them up as long as you have good sources of protein, veggies, healthy fats. That's what you want to make sure that you have, is sources of protein, veggies, and healthy fats. So there's lots of different ways you can do that. What I use for my kids, and I bought these from Amazon, years ago actually, and they're still standing up well. This is called Easy Lunchbox. So it comes like this, and I think we got like a container of 5 from Amazon, 5 different containers and their lids. It's kind of like a bento box, which are very popular right now. So we've got the 2 different containers and a bigger one that could be for a sandwich, but I bring them to work for myself. Could also have a salad in it. It's just more space. You could put watermelon in there if you like. I use those, and then I have another one. This one is from Tupperware, so it looks like that, and then when you open it, it's got a bunch of little containers, and I like that, and my kids like this too. Also cuts down on waste from all the little Ziploc bags, and I find it also cuts down on losing all the tiny little Tupperwares that you might send in their lunch container or their lunch bag. One big container like this is a lot harder to lose, at least for my kids anyway, than a bunch of little containers, which never ever come home. So what could we put in these different ideas that maybe aren't sandwich or traditional related but are still fun? What about food on a stick? For whatever reason, kids love food on sticks. So you could make little kebabs, right? Like you could make kebabs at night and then just get like a container size stick, or even like extra long, or toothpicks depending on your child, if that is safe, of course, or just take them off the stick and put them in the container. Things like chicken kebabs, beef kebabs, sausage kebabs, veggie kebabs. Really, there's no wrong way to do a kebab. You could do like grape and blueberry kebabs. For kids, for whatever reason, everything is more fun on a stick. So that's an easy way to include it a little bit different, a little bit more fun in their lunch. Packing things like, so what could you put with this? You could do sliced like cucumbers. You could do mangoes. You could do pretzels or yogurt covered pretzels. Just something different. You could do slices of cheese or cubes of cheese. Things like that could go with your beef on a stick. You've got your meat on a stick. You've got your protein. You've got your different veggies, maybe some fruit. You got a nice balance there. Quesadillas is another one. Quesadillas are a kid favorite, at least in our house. They're fun to pick up. They're not a sandwich. They're not a wrap. They're a little bit different. They're easy to eat, and they don't need to be hot. Kids will eat quesadillas cold. They don't have to be hot. So you could make quesadillas at home the night before. Maybe make some extra if you're having supper, and then have some for their lunch. My kids have done that before. You could have guacamole on them. You could have some avocado in their lunch with it. You could have pineapple. You could have fruit, veggie, maybe some pumpkin seeds in there, maybe some blueberries, maybe some sliced up peppers. Maybe they could make their own quesadillas. Maybe you've got the triangles in the one container, you've got the peppers in another, you've got the meat in another, and they can make their own quesadillas up. Maybe they would like that. Let's see, what else? We've sent our kids with like a trail mix before that isn't nut based, it's more seed based. So we've sent our kids with pumpkin seeds, shredded coconut, like some craisins or some dried fruit, dried apricot, dried fruit, pretzels, cut up, put in there. We've used that as kind of a snack. I know my daughter will have that in her locker in a container to kind of grab between classes if she doesn't really have time for much to eat, but she can grab a handful of that as she's walking to the next class or walking towards the gym. That has worked for her in the past to help keep her energy going throughout the afternoon. If your kid is not necessarily a sandwich eater but does like the meat, even like the deli meat, especially if you can find the nitrate free deli meat, roll that up. Just do like deli meat roll-ups. Think outside the bun and just roll up the meat and have it in the lunch. Could be turkey, could be ham, could be like roast beef. Could wrap it around cheese, right? Like around a cheese stick or a cheese string. Kind of like a wrap, but without the wrap, if that's not what they're into. My son will make his own, so I'll send the wrap separately and the meat and the cheese, and he'll make his own up. Or I'll make the wrap and cut it up for him. I try to involve my kids as much as possible too in the lunchtime making, so we'll do it the night before. Maybe you have time in the morning before school, but getting them involved in what they want to take in their lunch, or when you're grocery shopping, getting them involved, they're much more likely to eat it. And thinking creatively, you can find post after post, article after article on online, on Pinterest, or on different websites. There's websites and blogs devoted to this. Sit down with your kids and look at it together. Come up with different ideas before you go grocery shopping this weekend for back to school. Hummus is a big one, or even baba ganoush, which is an eggplant based dip in our house with veggies to dip in, and my son will take hummus and breadsticks. It's kind of a play on the old cheese and crackers packages that you could rip open and take, that I took a lot when I was a kid. Hummus and breadsticks, or hummus and veggies, is another one I know that my son really enjoys. Leftovers. So taking leftovers and putting them in the lunch, as long as they don't need to be warm, and not all of them do. You can eat chicken or beef or fish cold. If your kid likes chicken or beef or fish, put it in their lunch for the next day and let them decide what goes in with it. Could be orange slices, could be berries, could be, like I said, cut up cheese, could be a little package, like a homemade package of trail mix, could be like the sky's the limit. What does your kid like? What does your child like to eat, and how can you make that into a lunch? Sometimes I'll take these little muffin papers, right? And you can get silicone ones too if you don't want the paper ones. Put it in there, and I'll put some berries in there, or I'll put some trail mix in there, homemade trail mix, or pretty much whatever. Pretzels maybe, and have them take that as well. It just looks a little bit more fancy for them, which they tend to like. Cherry tomatoes is another really, finger friendly food if your kids like cherry tomatoes. Hard-boiled eggs is another. If your kids like hard-boiled eggs, a couple of those helps with the protein for sure. Homemade popcorn. Not a whole container of popcorn, but if you make popcorn up, just, put a handful in there as their dessert. Might be better than a lot of other desserts. Different types of salad. Maybe they like quinoa salad, or your kids might surprise you. Try offering these things at dinner time and seeing if they like them, and then including them in their lunch the next day or throughout the week. Breakfast for lunch. So we've done that before. I remember we used to do this when my kids were really little, in the younger grades, is little mini pancakes. So just little circular, like a few, 3 to 5, just little mini pancakes in one container, and then maybe a little, small container of syrup, if that's what they do, of maple syrup. But they may not even want syrup. Berries on top, just like that they can eat them with their fingers, right? Maybe strawberries, maybe hard-boiled eggs, maybe orange slices, maybe yogurt. My daughter's a big one for yogurt. She will take now they have the little individual packages of plain Greek yogurt, so she'll take that, and then she might add some fruit, stir it in. You can get the individual serving sizes of cottage cheese now too, and we've used that in our house before. Watermelon, like chunks of watermelon, cut up and put in. Really, like, the sky's the limit, right? It doesn't always have to be sandwiches or wraps, your traditional, maybe what you grew up on. Thermoses. My kids anyways, are big on thermos lunches. We make homemade soup throughout the school year pretty much every weekend, and they're happy to take that with them in their lunches. You can take leftover pasta in your lunch if that's your thing, in a thermos, especially on those cold, or cooler fall and cold winter days for sure. I'm curious on what you guys do. I'm curious on what your ideas are for school lunches, how you're hoping or planning to make them interesting for your kids this year. One of my best things that I've done in the last few years is use these containers instead of the lunch bag, the lunch box, and all the little Tupperwares or Ziploc bags. I love these. The kids love these, that they just open it and it's all there and they can choose what they want. Both of my kids, my son has the balanced school day, so He uses half at one and half at the other. And I know some teachers, will only let them open certain containers through their lunch. So this way it's all in one. A lot more choice for them depending on how they feel. And yeah, I'm curious what you guys do. I'm curious what your plans are, what works for you guys. Maybe thinking outside the box, how you get creative. And the other thing too to remember is to try to keep it balanced, right? Try to make sure there's a source of protein, especially for both lunches if they are on a balanced school day. Make sure that there's lots of veggies and fruit. And make sure you include the healthy fats. Don't forget about those healthy fats. So nuts if you can. I know that's a little tricky. Seeds, eggs if they like them. Fish if they like them, and if not, make sure they're getting them at other points in the day. Okay, make sure they're getting something like that at dinner, or that they are taking fish oil, or that they are at the very least taking a multivitamin, because brain development is important, and healthy brain development of course is going to help them during school hours, right? So making sure they're getting those healthy fats, especially if you're trying to cut down on their sugar, which is a great idea, or they're like the simple carbs, making sure that they're getting energy from healthy fats. Sylvia says getting them involved also sets them towards some independence later. Absolutely, of course. And I know a lot of families have that time in their childhood where you're old enough to make your own lunch now, and you're old enough to make your own choices, and you're old enough to live with your own choices. And that's where we're at too. We provide the food for our kids, and our kids are in charge of making their own lunches every day. They're the ones that have to eat them. And what we've done is we have different compartments in our fridge or in our cupboard, and you have to choose something from this compartment, something from this compartment, and something from this. You don't just get a free-for-all of, packing cookies and cake and just, a whole bunch of crap in your lunch. You have to choose something from this area of the crisper, and you have to choose something from this shelf on the fridge, and you have to choose something from here to make sure that it's balanced. So, our kids are old enough now that we have a list, and it can say protein. Here are your options for protein. You have to have at least one. Veggies or fruit. Here are your options. Have at least one. Healthy fats. Have at least one. And go from there. So then it comes to your drinks at lunch. Don't forget about the importance of hydration. So most kids go to school with milk or a juice box. That's very, very popular. Keep an eye on the sugar content in both. The juice container, especially if that juice container is drink, not juice. So if it says like apple drink or orange beverage or fruit punch, that's sugar, right? Like you're giving them pretty much a box of sugar, and I'm sure they do love it. But just keep in mind that there's not a lot of nutritional value to that, is what I'm saying. Water is always going to be best. Making sure that your kids have a water bottle at least. Most teachers now are encouraging them having a water bottle at their desk. So making sure they have that water bottle to keep their hydration up throughout the day. As for milk and chocolate milk, I know I've talked about this before. Have a look at the labels when you're at the grocery store and see how much sugar, how many grams of sugar is in chocolate milk, and just be aware of that when that is what you're giving them. And I'm not saying don't give them that. I'm just saying be aware of what you are giving them, and don't be under any illusions on how much sugar they are or are not getting. Sugar is hidden in kids' foods, and kids' foods is marketed to be at eye level for children in the stores on the shelves, and the marketing is very sneaky in that they'll tell you it's whole grain, or they'll tell you that it includes, omega-3s, or they'll tell you this and they'll tell you that. But go to the label or go to the ingredient list and actually look at how many ingredients are in there that you don't recognize or can't pronounce, and how many grams of sugar are in those items, especially the pre-packaged, pre-bagged, pre-boxed convenience types foods. Is there a way, like I know Lunchables, for example, is there a way that you can use a container and pretty much make your own Lunchable, probably cheaper in the long run and a whole lot healthier? I would love to hear your ideas. I'm a parent too, of a 13-year-old pretty much and a 9-year-old, so share your ideas with me. I'm always looking for new ideas as well. Tell me what you're doing, tell me what your plan is, tell me how it works in your house, and I'm all ears. So the more we can share, the more we all learn, the more we all benefit. School lunches 101 today. or just, for adults going to work, lunches if you're not going to buy them. What is it that you do? What works for you? How do you make sure that you keep it fun, interesting, and balanced for your own nutrition and for your kids? And keep in mind, you're always role modeling for your kids, okay? So whatever it is you're doing, that's what they're learning as they grow. So if they see you packing a bunch of easy convenience foods in their lunch, that's going to be their go-to, because that's what they're learning from you. So you're always mentoring, you're always role modeling. So if you want them to eat well, that has to come from you first, okay? Keeping that in mind, have a great last week of summer officially to all of the parents and teachers out there. Next Monday, the 4th of September, is a holiday, so our gym is closed and Nutrition News will not be happening then. But stay tuned, because we will be back and we will be talking about all that's coming up this fall here at the gym and all these new nutrition news topics. So if you have one in mind that you would like me to address, please let me know. I am all ears as always. Other than that, have a great rest of your day, great rest of your week. I am sure I will be back at some point checking in with you about something else new, fun, and awesome that we're doing here at Goddard Fit Body Boot Camp. Have a super day, everybody. Bye-bye.